Let me see if I can show you this with a picture. You can't get there from here. You can't do it. It's that famous old funny story about the guy who's lost out in the country. He finds a farmer and says, how do I get to such and such a place? And the farmer finally says, you can't get there from here. You can't do it. So, what? Knowing you folks' weird desire to get there from here anyway, I chose, which is admittedly weird, especially in this culture where we study and read books all the time, I chose to say to you, don't even do it until you're ready to read a book and make sense out of it. Yes, there are some great books written on the subject. They are useless to you, whether you like it or not. You cannot use them. You don't know how. And that pissed everybody off. That's just the way it is. You can't get there from here. You can get there from here. But you don't want to do this part. You don't want to admit that you're not ready to start yet. I don't think you would find it weird if you said that you wanted to climb to the top of the Himalayas, and I said, well, you're going to have to do a little preparation, before you start the climb. Do you really think that right now you could just fly out to the Himalayas and wearing the clothes that you're wearing right now and with what you got right now, you could trek on up to the top of the thing? No problem? You don't have to do anything to prepare for that little trip? Do you really believe that? I know what would happen if you tried. You'd die. You would just die from your own stupidity, your own folly, wouldn't you? You would just die of your own folly. That's all I'm trying to tell you, and you don't want to hear it, so you decide that I'm making it up and being mean and whatever weird things you like to make up about me. You can't get there from here. You got a little preparation to do. We need to get the awareness disidentified from all that weird stuff going on inside of it, and maybe get it close to back to being one thing again, and not disintegrated into little bits and pieces that bicker and argue all the time. And you got to have a little relationship with this other part of yourself that you don't even want to seem to admit exists. Now you're ready to go. You can probably go about anywhere you want to now. Why? Stupid question. You can't answer it, but I don't understand, folks. I don't get it. I don't get why you don't want to do that. Why you want to insist that you can do it from that other place. Nobody's trying to prevent you from making the journey. They're just saying, you asked me to be the guide, and I'm telling you, you're going to need a few things to get to the top of the Himalayas. You've never been. I have. You can't go there wearing those clothes. You need a few supplies. I'll tell you what they are, but you can't do it without them. And it's going to be a hard trip, even if you get all these things together that I'm telling you need. And it's very possible that some of you ain't going to make it, even prepared. And you want to insist that, no, I can go the way I am now. I don't know what to say. Except I think you've proven yourself wrong after all this time. I think you're wrong, and I think you've proven it. You've had some interesting experiences, but overall, you're still kind of in the same place where you were when you started. Still got the inner noise and the inner conflict, and in a lot of ways still want the same things, are still complaining about the same parts of life that you were when you walked in the door. I think you've proven yourself wrong. Maybe I'm right. You can't get there from here. Is that clear? I was saying last night that, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most outrageous discoveries or experiences that was made was early on in this whole thing, when before I kind of started doing this, I tried a bunch of methods to change their behavior. There were some things that I had been conditioned to do I really, really didn't like. I was very unhappy with them, some behaviors. And I tried all sorts of things to change them. I read a lot of books on subjects, that told you how to do that. And those books kind of worked. I could get a new behavior going. Until I got reminded of the thing that would bring back the old behavior, and then there I was, just uncontrollably right in the middle of the old behavior. So what I discovered was now I had two ways to do things, and the one that I didn't like was still uncontrollable. That was the experience for me. And so when things were going well, I could behave this new way, and I'd feel really good about myself and feel like I'd made some progress. And then when things got a little rough, I lost it, and I was right back to the old thing. And then I worked really hard to try out the new one, and so on. It was quite a struggle. So I had some experience with this whole thing of changing behavior. And then I started doing the work. And for the longest time, I would kind of observe the self, but I didn't really see things as illusions. I would observe the self, I would rationally kind of think, God, that's dumb. But it didn't really hit me in the place where I live, and I'm not really referring to feelings. I'm not even sure what the word for that is. I didn't really see for myself, that is not true. I kind of thought it and felt about it and stuff like that, but I didn't look at it and say, that's a joke, that's funny. It's a lie. But that did start happening after a while. I kept at it, and then, I don't even remember what the first thing was anymore, but I really looked at it and just said, that's a lie. And then I noticed a few weeks later, I wasn't acting the same way anymore. Behavior just changed all by itself. I did not do things that I used to do anymore. I just didn't do them. I didn't have the urge. I never thought about them. Even when the old situation came up that would normally have triggered it, it didn't. It was just gone, the old behavior, and I was doing something else that I hadn't planned out. I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't replaced it with anything. I hadn't tried to do anything. It just changed because I saw things differently now. I thought that was the neatest thing I'd ever seen. I don't have to struggle with behavior anymore. I can just forget about it. That makes doing the work make even more sense. All I have to do is just what I was told to do. Just observe what is and disidentify, and the rest will take care of itself if I really get that something is an illusion. And I erased it. This became a new kind of reality. Where did that change in behavior come from? I did not plan it out. I didn't conceive of it. I didn't think what I was going to do. I didn't do none of that stuff. I didn't even know I was going to change behavior, in fact. Where did it come from? Magic? I thought I did all this stuff. That's what I believed when I was in that hypnotic trance. I do all these things. So where did it come from if I didn't plan it out at all? And this started to be a lot more clearly true. I changed what I said was true and valuable, didn't I? I had a new truth, because I'd seen that something that I'd believed my whole life was a lie. And I was reporting a new truth, a new set of facts, a new way of looking at things, and a different value. So, I know where the behavior came from. Same place it always come from. I just lied and said I was doing everything. In those first days, I wasn't very aware, and I noticed it after the fact. Look, I'm acting different. I used to do this, now I'm doing that instead. I didn't have nothing to do with it. That was very clear. I started to get some sense of the reality of this weird picture I just drew. Kind of a funny U shape instead of a... Okay? This does appear to be true now in a whole new way. I'm just saying what's true and valuable, and the response is coming from life itself. And I'm aware of the response. It seems perfectly reasonable to me, whatever I'm doing, and I could go back to that old Not-I game of explaining it all as if I had done it if I wanted to. You understand? But this was too inexplicable to me to even bother with it. I knew I hadn't done this. I gave it no thought. All the attention had been on trying to understand this thing I'd seen in the self so that I could see that it was an illusion. I had not even thought about what I was going to do afterwards. And I'll tell you, I thought that was the neatest thing that I had ever seen. It just made such a joke out of all those attempts to create new habits, which don't actually replace the old ones. You just get new ones. So you take a vessel that's already full of crud and you put new crud in that you think is good crud, of course. You wouldn't be putting it in. And now you just got an adulterated mess. That's the normal way of doing things. And it doesn't take anything out, it don't replace nothing, it just adds new crud in there. And then you try it this way, and the vessel starts to be emptied. And you don't even have to worry about what's in it anymore. Because the response comes fresh and new every time from life. You don't need to have crud in there in case you need it someday. A behavior, just in case you need it someday, you see. Life will respond. You just clean the damn thing out. I just thought that was the most spectacular thing I'd ever seen. I just hoped that one day it would be a little easier seeing the illusion in things, because boy, that was a lot of work in the beginning. To actually get to that point where I could really truthfully say, this is not true. I believed it my whole life, but it is not true. It has been a lie and illusion that I've had all along. That was a lot of work. I did kind of hope for the day when that part would be a little easier. But I still think it was easier than everything else I tried, because everything else I tried didn't actually work. It was a lot of work too. It's hard work creating a new habit, isn't it? Especially one that kind of goes against ones you've already got. It's a lot of work. It's not even effective. You still have the old one, don't you? I don't think my experience is unusual in that. I think that's the way it is. You still got the old one, and when that knot eye pops up, it does its thing, even though you tried to replace it with a new one. Hasn't that been your experience too? What a dumb idea. I'm just not clear on why we want to take this part out and try and do it all from here. I really don't get it. I can do my part. I can clean up the awareness like I was asked to do. That is the task that I was given, to take care of things. Kind of keep it neat and clean. I can do that part because it was given to me to do. I may be able to find some other things I can do too, but I can start with that. See if I can get the awareness back to being what it could have been all along, a nice, clean, pretty place to live. I can observe it to see what needs to go. I don't know how to clean a house without looking at it, do you? I gotta kind of look around and see what needs cleaning. That's the observation part. And I can disidentify so that it don't hurt me so bad when I take the garbage out. I don't feel like I'm amputating a limb. Oh, I can't throw that away. That's my precious toe. I don't know what you think it is, but it's got to go. And I can do that work to see that most of the ideas that I live by are lies. They are simply not true. And leave the rest to X. I had another one of these experiences just the other day, where somebody called up on the phone and they asked a question, and I knew what the answer was, and I opened my mouth to say it, and something else came out. An entirely different set of words than I had planned on saying. And they thought that was the best answer they'd ever heard. They were just overjoyed. And I was just sitting there getting a kick. God damn it, you did it again to me. I told you what was true and valuable, and thank God I don't make a big deal out of it anymore, but I told you what we ought to do about it, and you just ignored me and did something else. And damned if it didn't turn out that you were right, and the answer that came out of the mouth was not that different. It was just worded a little bit differently than I would have said it. This is the weirdest thing. But you know what? I like living that way. I actually kind of enjoy that interchange, that byplay where I enjoy that little game that goes on between the awareness and X. And it's really funny when it's like that. And it just totally ignores everything but what I said is true and valuable. My idea of how to deal with it, he just apparently finds amusing and ignores. That happens every now and again. I'm going to do it this way, and I do something else instead. And you know, damned if the something else isn't always a lot better than what I had in mind. I just thought it was funny. Okay, you want to answer the question that way, that's fine. They seem to be pretty happy with it. Sometimes it's entirely different. Somebody will ask something and I just sit and look at them. It's like, I don't even know what to say to you. I just haven't a clue how to respond to this. It's not that I don't understand it, I do, but I just don't know. I just don't have a clue how to respond to you and what will even make sense to you. So I just sit there and that's interesting. And then all of a sudden the mouth opens and a bunch of stuff starts spewing out. And, usually that's the experience again. It makes sense to them. I'm glad, because I didn't know what to do. But I did get a kick out of the one the other day. I answered the phone, I was asked a question. I knew exactly what the answer was, so I said something else. They were just ecstatic with that answer. Like, okay, good. I'm glad you got what you wanted. And I got a little interesting sideshow. They took me to the circus for a moment. It was kind of fun. I got to watch the dogs and ponies. Honestly, I think that's a hoot. It's fun. I don't know why you want to live in this constrained little universe where you know everything all the time and nothing is ever a surprise. I think it's kind of fun. I really actually kind of get a kick out of walking around, never quite knowing what I'm going to do. I think it's interesting. Sometimes people will ask me, what you going to do? I don't know, let's find out. I'm okay with that. It isn't always true, but sometimes it is. I don't know. Let's go do it and we'll see what it is. We'll both find out together. I'm interested too. It's fun. I don't suppose I can sell it. I've been trying for years. Apparently you like your idea better. Being the end-all and be-all and the know-all. And, but I like this game. I really enjoy that process of not thinking about things all the time, not planning everything, but just being aware and experiencing what's going on, including the response. I think it's a kick. And sometimes I get to watch this side of it too. Every now and again I catch a little glimpse of what goes on there in this whole thing before it comes out. And it's fascinating. It is just fascinating. I'm not excluded from there. I get to be aware of that too. And sometimes I get a little glimpse of that part of the process too. I wouldn't miss out for the world. It's a hell of a lot more interesting than all the crud that used to try and attempt to do that from here. I don't know. I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk a bit about, since I brought the subject up of maybe cleaning up the heart a bit, seeing if you can get a little purity back in your life. But I just feel like at this point, this is all there is left to say. Your theory is interesting. But I think that you're just doing a really, really good job of making a lot of noise to hide the fact that you're living out the quote that he brought up over lunch. Better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. The original juvenile delinquent's famous statement. And I think all your words and all your rationalizations and all your clever, witty explanations boil down to that. Better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. I don't know. Personally, I get a hoot. I really get a kick out of being the servant. Being the awareness function and doing the best job I can to accurately say what is going on here as fast as I possibly can. I do get kind of a kick out of doing it really, really fast because sometimes, you got to respond to things quickly, don't you? You really don't have a lot of time to say, okay, let me mount a week-long investigation, please come back. And to put value on things. And be that servant and then allow life to express. Which always I'm always a part of that. I'm not excluded from that. And I get a kick out of it. But I was a little bit more willing to admit than most people are that I was doing a pretty bad job of it on my own. I wasn't doing a great job at running this life. I knew it. So I'm kind of okay with it. I think X does a much better job than I ever did. Yep.
Valuing doesn't look like a servant's job.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. If that's the way you want to classify it, I'm okay with that. I don't understand your particular classification system, that's all. I just don't understand it.
Okay.
To me, a servant does whatever they're asked by the person they're serving to do. The servant doesn't decide what a servant's job is. The person they're serving does. So if the person I'm serving says, what I want you to do is take care of the place, keep it clean, and tell me what's going on at the place, because I don't feel like going and checking out for myself, and tell me what it needs and what's valuable there, then that's the servant's job, because that's the kind of the person you're serving's prerogative to define the job, huh? If I hire somebody to run my business, then that's what I hired them to do. And if you think that isn't their job, well, okay, but
Okay.
that's my prerogative. And it happens all the time in this world that somebody finally gets sick and tired of a business, and so they hire a president or something or a CEO to come in and run it while they go play. I don't know who the hell you are to say that that isn't an employee's job.
What I'm saying is that...
I know what you're saying. I don't think I've misunderstood. You have your own damned classification system. By God, the universe better fit it. Okay. Apparently, X doesn't have your classification system. And I'm kind of glad.
Does the servant have the freedom to value things as they see fit, or am I having a completely wrong view of what valuation is? I mean, is there an objective truth out there?
Folks, when have I ever said any different on this particular subject? Why am I going to change my mind now because you're confused? I've answered that question how many times? How many times in the course of the years I've known you people have I answered that question? You are rejecting information because you don't like it. It don't fit into your little framework. And now you're asking a question I've answered a zillion times. You can value anything any way you damn well please. It's absolutely obvious. Or why the hell would X let us even decide that the master decision makes sense in the first place? It's stupid. It's just a stupid question. Whenever a person is confused, it means they are rejecting information. There is no such thing as confusion. Confusion is the byproduct of rejecting information. There is no such a state as confusion. What there is you rejecting information that you don't like. And your experience of that is a state that people call confusion. You are not requesting information at that point because that information has been provided already. You're just acting out this funny little drama where you don't like the definition of servant as somebody who seems to be doing a function that you consider to be the master's job. So therefore it's not service. Therefore it's not a servant. Okay. God, I'm glad I don't live in that universe. Where everything has to fit my preconceived notions. I thought it was my job to come here and find out what's going on. Not to come here and dictate what's going on and then demand everything fit. I thought I came here confused. Not knowing what's going on, I had to find out. Apparently I was wrong. I was supposed to come here and tell everybody what's going on. You learn about what's going on by finding out, not by telling us. That's X's idea of service. If it don't fit yours, that's fine. Any other questions or comments?
Is the valuation to be suspended when you're disidentifying?
Yes, of course. Since the function of the awareness is to do two jobs, true and valuable, then obviously there is a condition where I should not do one of those two jobs. I believe that condition is called death. Because if this heart ever decides to suspend its function for a period of time, I do believe that's what's going to follow very shortly. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, when I do this identification,
You don't do disidentification. You do not do disidentification, as I have told you over and over again. What did I say that disidentification is today?
What?
I can't talk to you. What was unclear about what I just said?
I physically didn't hear.
What did I say disidentification is today? You didn't hear it because you're more interested in your thoughts than you are my speech.
To deny the self and everything that it claims to own.
And that's what you're doing.
I manage to do it every now and then, yeah. When a thought comes up, I said, this is not my thought.
And you're telling me that in that moment you're suspending value.
The only thing I'm valuing is this identification.
So you did not
itself.
suspend value, did you? You're a liar. You're just a liar. You're a nitpicky, intellectual twit who strains at gnats and swallows camels. You're just weird. Playing these weird intellectual games of fitting everything into theories that don't match any reality that ever existed. I hate playing this game. It's dumb, it's weird, I don't like it. So there. I think I kept my cool through that one pretty well until we finally got to that point. This game, stupid! A little more observation, please, and a little less advertising,
Okay.
and we might get somewhere. I have never seen a point where I was even capable of not valuing something. I was designed to do it. I don't remember a time when that was even possible for me. Any more than I do believe that the heart can just decide not to beat. It could break, couldn't it? But I do not live in fear that one day my heart will say, I don't want to right now. It was made to do it, it just sort of does it. Same thing with me. I was made to be aware of what is and the value of what is. And I will do it whether I like it or not. I can do it in all sorts of weird ways. I can attempt to do it well. I can do it completely unconsciously without even knowing I'm doing it. But I am going to do it. It's my function. And it's pretty weird to hear someone say, that doesn't fit my idea of servant. Well, okay. But if it's somebody's idea of servant, and it's one of the reasons why I find it such a interesting person to serve. Because their definition of service is not to meaning in any way, shape, or form. And still, I mean, here I am, the servant of the place, and I'm in charge of the whole show. How do you like them apples? And I should play Satan's game and say, yeah, but I'm still a servant, so I don't want to?
Phil, is that what you were meaning when you were at the table saying, you keep saying that I will be done until finally God says that back to you? Is that what you meant?
No. I don't understand why you're having so much trouble with that. When he says it back to you, it means that he's given up on getting you to say, not do, but say, thy will be done to him. And so he's saying, fine, you go ahead and have it your way, because that's what you've been fighting for all along. So you got it.
Okay.
Your will be done.
Okay.
I'm having nothing to do with you.
Right.
Well, welcome to hell forever. While you're still kicking and fighting with him, there's a chance that one day you'll get it and say, thy will be done. When he gives up on you, that's it, isn't it? You got your way. You get to live in some stupid, narrow little universe like Eddie displays to us every time with this weird set of ideas that don't even make any sense. You get it. You live in that weird, nauseous illusion of yours forever. I will not come in and knock on the door anymore and say, you want out? You get what you want. And I believe that place is called hell. It's kind of the other side of that statement, isn't it? Better to rule in hell? Well, what is hell but a place where you can pretend to be the ruler? And look what they made of the joint. Any other questions or comments? Let's stick. Well, should we take a break or just go home and come back tomorrow. Kind of late, isn't it?
It's 3:30 here.
3:30, okay. I guess I'm just getting antsy. Not that way. All right, we'll take a break and come back.
This one needs some help with boredom.